In the top stories, Nevis Peak National Park Interpretation Center officially commissioned. Grenadians among 5 missing at sea, and COVID test results for Shanghai's population under review. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today's Tuesday, the 5th of April 2022. I'm Jason Davis. Nationally, the Nevis Peak National Park Interpretation Center has been officially opened in Hard Times, Gingerland. The Ministry of Physical Planning and Environment in the Nevis Island Administration hosted an opening ceremony on March 31, during which Mr. Raoul Pemberton, the Director of Physical Planning and Environment, explained that establishing the center formed part of a wider environmental monitoring and protection project. The Honorable Spencer Brand, NIA Minister with responsibility for planning and the environment, thanked the director and his team, as well as the project management division, for coordinating the project to fruition on Nevis. He also thanked the federal government, NIA cabinet, and one of NIA's strategic partners, the United Nations Development Program, or UNDP Global Environment Facility, for financing the building and outfitting of the center. This center, he said, establishes a protected area system to monitor and manage the biodiversity, habitats, and the environmental and natural resources of Nevis. Federal Minister of Environment, the Honorable Eric Evelyn, and Area Representative for St. George, Gingerland, cut the ribbon with Honorable Brand to officially commission the center. Deputy Governor General for Nevis, Her Honor Hyleta Liebert, unveiled the donor plaque of recognition, demonstrating the appreciation of the people of Nevis for the assistance of the Global Environmental Facility. The Nevis Peak National Park Interpretation Center houses an array of flora and fauna exhibits and maps of scenic rainforest trails, among other things, to enhance the visitor experience. The Conserving Biodiversity and Reduction Habitat Degradation in Protected Areas and their Buffer Zones project on Nevis, including the Interpretation Center, was funded by the NIA, the federal government, and the Global Environmental Facility. In other news, fire hydrants need to be accessible. That's a word to the public from the St. Kitts and Nevis Fire and Rescue Services during their weekly morning show on ZIZ on Tuesday. Bastyr Fire Substation Officer Rommel Williams said that regular hydrant patrols are done by fire officers, but right now they've been unable to locate known fire hydrants.
And now we're looking for the fire hydrants, we can't find them. They mysteriously disappeared. Now that is a result of either vegetation going over the hydrants, or maybe dirt get over the hydrants and then grass grow on the hydrants. So we basically, and for persons who have land outside the fence on the sidewalk, we basically have to dig up the land to find the hydrant. So to avoid this, what we are asking is for persons who are fortunate enough to have a fire hydrant right outside of your residence. If you could keep around the fire hydrants clear from debris, dirt, not allowing any grass and so forth to go over the fire hydrants, that would be helpful to us when we have to come and locate the hydrants.
He said maintenance of the fire hydrants is the sole responsibility of the fire services.
We have had to literally
and attending to the fixtures underneath. He asked that area be kept clear. He also spoke of some of the difficulties officers face in relation to fire hydrants.
We have had to literally dig out some of the fire hydrants, and the only how we know that a hydrant is there sometimes is because the valve is still above the ground, so we could see that. And there might be an instance, where over time the enclosure, if it's a concrete enclosure, over time it breaks away and so forth, and everything falling.
He said community involvement in the maintenance process is reassuring and welcomed.
While I was, maintaining one of the hydrants, persons were actually looking, because it's reassuring to know that, hey, okay, fire department is in the area, and they're making sure that their stuff is in order. And when they see that bright yellow paint, it's exciting. At least okay, well, a hydrant here. Persons actually come out and say, boy, watch your hydrant around the corner and the bend. I know where it is. But if they know where it is, I mean, they're paying attention as well. So that is a great help for us. While I was
He encourages persons to report leaking hydrants to the water department, as water is a very important resource. We now move to news on the regional scene. Grenadians are among 5 men missing at sea after a Vincentian-registered vessel, the MV Fairchance, overturned in Trinidad waters over the weekend. A recovery mission is on the way, but it is hindered by rough seas. More in this GBN News report.
The Royal Grenada Police Force has confirmed that 2 of 5 missing crew members aboard MV Fairchance, which overturned just outside Trinidad over the weekend, are Grenadians. Trinidad Coast Guard on Saturday, in a release, said at about 3:40 p.m., the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard received a report that the vessel encountered rough North Coast seas and subsequently overturned due to a shift of the cargo on board, 5 nautical miles north of Manus Island. 2 of the 7 crew members, who are Vincentian nationals, survived and were rescued. Officer attached to the Community Relations Department, Kadina Douglas McLean, explained.
Preliminary investigation also suggests that the incident occurred when a strap that was used to hold cargo in place on the vessel burst, causing the cargo to shift to one side of the vessel and consequently capsizing the vessel.
Though unable to reveal any names at this time, Officer McLean said the RGPF is working along with officials from Trinidad and Tobago on the matter and support is being given in any way possible. In an exclusive interview with GBN, Trinidad's Minister for National Security Fitzgerald Hines confirmed that an active search and rescue operation by the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard is on the way to find the 5 missing crew members of the Vincentian registered vessel.
Of course, there's deep commitment on the part of the Coast Guard to get to the fullness of this exercise, and that would of course mean when the vessel, the upturned vessel, is in a safe enough set of circumstances to allow Coast Guard divers to enter into the cavity of that vessel to see what, if anything, is to be revealed from such an exercise. Of course, they would be on the lookout for any persons in that area who may have been victims of that accident. They found none so far, so that search for human persons continues.
On Monday, about 30 Guyanese with civil matters benefited from free legal services offered by the Guyana Legal Aid Clinic in partnership with the Guyana Bar Association. The exercise was part of Pro Bono Monday, one of the main events facilitated by the Guyana Bar Association in observance of Law Week 2022. Here are the details from Antonio Day.
Today, we have private attorneys volunteering their services free of cost to persons who would normally seek the assistance of the Guyana Legal Aid Clinic. And it will be 30 persons in addition to the persons that the Legal Aid Clinic normally offer the services to.
Michelle Boyce, managing attorney of the Guyana Legal Aid Clinic, during an interview conducted by 19 News on Monday, Boyce revealed that the Guyana Legal Aid Clinic is targeting persons who have civil law matters, namely divorce, custody, division of property, claim, compensation, and public matters in the criminal aspect, like murder, manslaughter, etc. The Guyana Legal Aid Clinic, formerly the Georgetown Legal Aid Clinic, is a non-governmental, non-profit-making organization which provides legal aid to persons who cannot afford to employ the services of a member of the private bar. The clinic was established in March 1994. Since then, it has assisted over 46,500 Guyanese, primarily women, with the intention of vindicating and protecting women's rights in Guyana under the judiciary system. The Guyana Bar Association, founded in 1980, is a voluntary unregistered body which consists of bona fide attorneys at law committing to upholding and practicing the rule of law locally. The association is governed by a 12-member bar council elected annually, which comprises namely a president, 2 vice presidents, secretary, assistant secretary, and treasurer. Meanwhile, attorney at law and treasurer of the Guyana Bar Association, Mr. Naresh Punai, outlined the upcoming events in observance of the inaugural Law Week 2022.
We had a walkathon that started from Square of the Revolution all the way to the Court of Appeal in Kingston. Then we had breakfast. Today we have Pro Bono Monday. Tomorrow we're having the opening of session, which is normally a judiciary event.
The Law Week 2022 is observed under the theme Advancing the Rule of Law in New Formal, in an annual event spearheaded by bar associations in various jurisdictions across the world, aimed at promoting public understanding of the rule of law and its role in society. This is Antonio Day reporting for HCP 19 News.
Internationally, Shanghai will remain in lockdown as Chinese authorities review COVID-19 test results for the city's entire population of 26 million. But there's anger at officials for separating COVID-positive children from their parents and sending them to quarantine facilities. Al Jazeera's Adrian Brown reports.
China's financial center has been like this for 9 days. The scenes in Shanghai reminiscent of those 2 years ago in Wuhan, where COVID-19 was first detected. During a mass testing of its 26 million citizens, which has now concluded, officials reported a surge in local asymptomatic cases. Medical workers from across the country have been pouring into the metropolis to help. The success of this mass mobilization will partly determine when Shanghai can reopen or for how much longer it'll remain shut. What is clear is that the government is still not prepared to follow other countries by living with COVID-19, says one prominent Chinese commentator.
Overall, China is the only country in the world today which still pursues this zero policy. And I think eventually China will be the winner. China is on the winning side rather than on the losing side.
But that policy means separating children from parents if they test positive, a practice that has raised anxiety levels among local as well as expatriate families. State media's responding to the widespread criticism of the practice. This report, with a soothing soundtrack, appears to show parents and children who've tested positive being admitted to an isolation facility. But it's unclear if that means the policy's been scrapped. Unlike Shanghai, people in other parts of China are marking the Qingming festival. This is when people traditionally sweep the graves of their ancestors. There is an added poignancy to the festival here in Hong Kong because, of course, so many people have died from COVID-19. This time a year ago, the death toll stood at just over 200. Today, it stands at more than 8,000. Adrian Brown, Al Jazeera, Hong Kong.
And now for the weather. Current conditions are cloudy skies. The temperature for today is 28 degrees Celsius or 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds are a moderate breeze of 13 miles per hour from the east-northeast. Seas are moderate with waves of 4 to 5 feet. The weather forecast in St. Kitts and Nevis for today says it will be partly sunny with a 20% or slight chance of showers. Tonight will be partly cloudy with a 30% or low chance of showers. Sunset today will be at 6:25 p.m. Sunrise tomorrow at 6:03 a.m. And that brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Jason Davis.